Summer movie season is now over. And here's going to be my top 10 favorite summer movies that we got to see this year. Now, again, this is my list, so you might disagree, and I also did not see every movie this summer, so if there's one that you think I missed and I definitely need to check out, let me know down below, as well as make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies and TV over here on a daily basis. I really cannot wait to see your guys' list, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are anticipating mine. So without further ado, let's dive into it right now. At my number 10, it is the final movie really much for this summer movie season, which was Bullet Train. I was anticipating this, the trailers looked fun, and after finally seeing the movie twice, I can definitely say this movie was awesome. I had so much fun with this one. Is it kind of dumb at times? Yes. Is it a little bit too long? Absolutely. Is there maybe one too many characters? I kind of agree with that, but I just had a blast with this movie, specifically when it comes down to the characters involved here. I loved Brad Pitt. But really much the two standouts was Tangerine and Lemon, played by Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor Johnson. They stole this entire movie. I love them both in here wholeheartedly. I think they were really much just big standouts and a lot of fun. And that just goes for say the entirety of what Bullet Train is it's a fun time. I enjoy it for what it is. Is there some Tarantino-isms as well? Yes, but I do like that how all the characters, how everything really comes around, and the action is filmed in a very stylistic and fun way. I think when it comes down to David Leitch-directed films that do not include the first John Wick as a co-director, this is hands down his best directed movie yet. It might borrow from a lot of other directors and their styles, but again, Bullet Train is just a blast of a time, and I had so much fun with it. At my number 9, speaking of fun, we have Chippendale Rescue Rangers. This is kind of the reboot to Rescue Rangers, but as well as a sequel to it in the vein of Roger Rabbit, and that was just up my alley. And it's, of course, directed by, produced, written by pretty much the entire crew of Lonely Island. And they did Palm Springs, they did Popstar, and both of those were awesome movies. So to say that Chippendale did not live up to my expectations would be wrong. But to also say that it is not the top, I would argue, the best Disney live-action remake yet, there's something to be said. This movie should have been in theaters. It was absolutely hilarious. I laughed from top to bottom, and I could not get enough of this movie. In fact, this has been kind of one of my comfort movies for the entire summer season. I just pop it on in the background, I enjoy it, I laugh, and I tune when I need to do. And it's just one of those movies that you can continue to do that. There's so many in-house references that just all make sense, and sometimes there's things that happen in here that I have no idea how Disney even let them get away with it. And maybe not even Disney, but other studios. This is a very hilarious movie, and it worked top to bottom for me. And we have number 8, which sadly bombed. And I am still so sad about this, but that is Lightyear. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, really? Lightyear? Yes, I loved Lightyear. I've seen the movie about 5 times now, and it continues to work every single time I watch it. It is not the same as Toy Story. It is completely different emotion, but the way that I take it is that this is a different interpretation of everything that we've ever known about this character, Buzz Lightyear, as well as just a new direction for the franchise. And personally for me, I really like it. I think it's so wholeheartedly emotional at the same time of just being an action-packed fun time that really dives into themes that are a little bit deeper than I was expecting to have in the film. This is more than just Star Wars for Buzz Lightyear. This is truly kind of has some elements of Interstellar when it comes down to certain twists and turns that happens in the back half. I know this movie was not for everyone once again, but I really like this movie. It's a fact, I even fucking loved it. I loved it, and it breaks my heart that this movie bombed at the box office. I know there was countless reasons on why, but if you did not see Lightyear, it is on Disney Plus now. Please go support the movie. It is an awesome time and seriously enough, a lot of fun. Now at my number 7, it is The Gray Man. Now, I still say that this movie, if it was rated R, I think this movie would be even higher on my list, but for what we got in here, it was just awesome to see Ryan Gosling as an action hero, and this movie checked off all the boxes for exactly what I needed. I don't know why, but this movie was just right up my alley. Is it a little bit predictable when it comes down to the story? Yeah, but is it a lot of fun? Abso-freaking-lutely. Ryan Gosling is that action hero. Ana de Armas is a badass. Chris Evans is just chaotic as all hell. And the Russo brothers did a really good job directing this one. Again, I still believe this should have been rated R. I feel like they pulled too many punches here and there within the editing style, and you can definitely tell that it was edited down from a more violent scenes for certain particular ones. But I just had a blast of this. I think it's so damn awesome, and I think I want more. I want more sequels for sure. And at my number 6, we have the new Predator movie, Prey, which I wish I could have seen in theaters. This is another one that did not belong on a streaming service. I understand there might be some behind the scenes issues on why it needed to go, but God, what an amazing movie. Dan Trachtenberg absolutely stole and ran this entire court with it. I think he revitalized the Predator franchise with just one movie. And as someone who grew up with the original Predator since an early age, with my dad showing me that movie and absolutely scaring the shit out of me, Prey worked on all singular levels, and I loved it. Is it very simple? Absolutely. Is there some plot armor in there? Absolutely. But that's every movie. That's every movie, and I do believe that Predator movies should be this simple. You go in, you enjoy the ride, and you have a damn good time with it. My number 5, we have Elvis, which is a movie that I was late to the boat on, and thankfully I was, because I saw it a couple weeks after all the hype of people saying it's shit, it's bad, it's great, it's amazing. So I wasn't able to give my own perspective to it, and I loved Elvis. This is easily my favorite Baz Luhrmann movie, and that's saying a lot because I've gone over and revisited quite a few of his movies that I had never seen before, and I contend that this is easily his best movie. When it comes down to writing and directing, there's a lot of visual styles that is just totally Baz Luhrmann, but it's also down to the editing that really makes this feel like Elvis's life. You feel like you've been through his entire portion of it, and the runtime of it all, while it is a long movie, you do get to the point where you start to feel exhausted by the end, but it's the same way that Elvis was feeling. And I wonder if that was on purpose or just truly enough that's how the movie made you feel. But no matter what it is, the way that I take from it is that Austin Butler is a damn star. I cannot wait to see him in Doom Part 2 as the main villain, but if he's not nominated for Elvis, I don't know what's wrong with the world. His performance was absolutely bar none one of the best of this entire year, and probably if the Oscars were tomorrow, should be the front-running winner for this entire year. Until we see the fall movies, then we might actually have to make a couple different decisions, but he was incredible in here. Tom Hanks is, for me, probably the weakest part about this movie, but he didn't bother me as much as other people were talking about it, but what a film to really depict the legacy of Elvis. And there's a couple things I wish I would have dove into a little bit more, but specifically enough, I love this film. My number 4, we have Thor: Love and Thunder. I know a lot of people did not like this movie, but I just think all of you guys are crazy. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite MCU films. I cannot wait for this to come on Disney+. I cannot wait to buy the Blu-ray so I can keep rewatching this one. And this is coming from someone who is not a major fan of Thor Ragnarok. I thought Thor Ragnarok was enjoyable, but I think Taika Waititi was a little bit too much in there. And I will give credit where credit is due. I do think some of the humor in Thor: Love and Thunder is a little bit not even undermined, but there's just a little bit too much in there. And I do wish the film was about 20 minutes longer, specifically with Gore the God Butcher, to establish him a bit more, see some more gods get killed. But I believe there was some studio stuff behind the scenes holding that back, because it sounds like Christian Bale did film a lot more scenes. But the thing that I want to give credit to where credit is for this movie is the reason that I feel like it is better than Thor Ragnarok is because it never undermines any of the very serious moments. Looking at one of the best moments, one of my favorite moments in this entire film, and the poignant piece of it all, is when Jane Foster and Thor are on the boat and they're heading, to Gore the God Butcher, but they just have that conversation and she admits to having cancer to him. And in Thor Ragnarok, I feel like a joke would have been happened right there or here and there. And I know you have Valkyrie and Korg singing in there, but it again never takes away from what exactly is going on in that moment. Specifically, even the ending, which I'm not going to get into if you haven't seen the movie yet, but the ending is very important as well in the way that it establishes what happens with Gore, what happens with Jane Foster, what happens with all these other things. It is one of my favorite endings to the Marvel Universe, and I absolutely love Thor: Love and Thunder. I think it's a lot of fun, but I also think it's poignant, and I loved how they handled Jane Foster's Thor. And maybe this is just coming from a biasness, because I did read the comic books, and I loved the Mighty Thor comics, and I loved the Gore the God Butcher, and I think they really brought that to life in a new and interesting way. But also at the same time, I just loved how wild this movie is, and I love Taika Waititi as a writer and director. And we got 3 more movies to talk about, guys, and I definitely want to remind you guys to leave your thoughts down below, and as well to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy movie content like this. I promise you we're going to have a lot more fun on this channel quite soon, with daily content coming almost every single day, if not every single day. I try my best to get at least 2 to 3 videos out a day, some shorts, some long formats, all sorts of things like that, so you are here to stay. My number 3, we have Nope. This is Jordan Peele's brand new directorial effort. And for me, I can't express enough how this movie really clicked for me on a second rewatch. The first time I watched it, I really enjoyed it, and I in fact actually loved a lot of moments to it, but there were certain things in the back half that I wasn't completely sure on yet, and certain subplots that happen in here, specifically with the Gordy's home stuff. Then I saw it a second time and it absolutely clicked, every single element and everything of its nature, that I think this movie is almost perfect. In fact, as biased as I am to Us, because I just really like Us, I think this is his second best movie, if not his best. I think thematically, Jordan Peele really wrote a very layered out movie that maybe runs a little tad bit too long, but even with that said, I think the interpretation of what he did with aliens in here is absolutely phenomenal. And this is still a movie, if you have not seen, you want to go into it, because the interpretation of aliens for me is the big twist of this movie. Seeing that it was very different and unique, and I love what Jordan Peele attempted to take with it. And the performances from Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and everyone involved is just big standout stellar. I have a full review on this channel, but I love this movie. And at my number 2, we have Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. God, A24, if you would have pushed this movie a little bit harder, this could have been, and I really mean this could have been one of your highest grossing films of all time. And sadly, it didn't. It did not go into too many theaters, but if you did get a chance to check it out, you probably know that this is the cutest, most adorable movie of the entire year. It's hilarious, it's heartwarming, and it's about a little shell with shoes on who wants to find his family. God, I love this movie. It's shot in the style of a mockumentary, which I think is even an added bonus. If you've grown up with the shorts are nothing compared to this movie. The movie is absolutely everything you would imagine and more. And I saw this movie back in April, and when it came out this summer, I absolutely knew I had to go see it again, and I just could not get enough of this movie. I think this is, again, one of the best movies of this year. It's in my top 5 favorite films of this year. So I think a lot of you guys, if you haven't seen Marcel the Shell, please go find a theater and support this film. My number 1, this is probably going to be almost every person's number 1, but it is Top Gun Maverick. This is like, every other movie under this is like way down here, and Top Gun's like all the way up here. Top Gun's my second favorite film of this year so far, and I've actually sadly only gotten to see it once. I refuse to see this movie again without seeing it in IMAX or Dolby, and every single time they re-put it back into those, I'm just busy. But that one experience that I had in the Dolby Digital Theater was one of the best theater experiences that I have ever had in my entire existence of seeing film. And I see over like 150 movies a year in theaters. So that's saying a lot. And I've been doing that for like the last like 4 or 5 years. And I've been seeing movies ever since I was like 5 years old in theaters. And Top Gun Maverick felt like a religious experience. And it wasn't just because of audiences cheering or anything like that. It's because of how the movie was made. Joseph Kosinski did an amazing job directing this movie and really bringing it to life in some of the most unique and fascinating ways that I've personally ever seen it to be created. Specifically, all the aerial shots and the footage that they actually captured in those. I actually feel that Miles Teller is actually the heart of this entire story, and Tom Cruise is the soul of it all. And Maverick himself, I think everything that builds up to the finale, while it feels a little bit Star Wars-ish, really works. This is just an action-packed, heartwarming, awesome thriller ride that builds off the original Top Gun but excels it to that next stratosphere, making this one of the best action films of all time. And I am absolutely so impressed with Top Gun Maverick, to say the least. This is one of the best films of this year. I will not be shocked when this gets nominated for an Oscar, and I will honestly say right now, I think right now this is the frontrunner to win Best Picture. If Paramount pushes it, it'll win. And I'm definitively ready to say that and manifest it into actuality, because I think we need... I love that smaller movies win, but I do want to see a blockbuster win so people can stop making fun of them and just being like, they're not Oscar bait. This is an awesome movie. I loved it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys did as well. But let me know down below what your guys' top 10 is. I'm so curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Thank you so much again for watching this. You guys are really all the best. Lots of content coming up soon. And, of course, until next time, guys, stay classy.